I know you have to do an 8 minutes presentation sometime at the end of this whole program down towards the end of the year. How many of you though, and I know you all present in-house, I mean there's meetings, there's all sorts of in-house team presentations. How many of you speak at conferences? 1, 2, 3. All right, some. How many of you would like to speak at conferences that don't? I love that. No. Okay, every chance you get to speak is an opportunity. An opportunity to share your knowledge, an opportunity to give value to someone else. But it's also an opportunity to be seen, to be heard, and to influence. Now, influencing is the major outcome of a presentation, a great presentation. It has influence in some way, shape or form. So every time somebody says, would you present here or would you do this, and you say, oh, I haven't got time, or no, look, you know, so-and-so's really good at presenting, look, let Natalie do it, she presents at conferences, we'll let her go. Every time you do that, you are missing out. You are missing out on an opportunity. Let's just have a look at influence now, because I want to frame, and I'll get these pens, I want to frame the whole presentation skills presentation today, or workshop, around the idea of influence. There is a wonderful, wonderful man called Dr. Robert Cialdini. He's a professor, a marketing professor at Arizona State University, and he's one of the recognised experts in the world on influence and persuasion. And he has 6 principles. The first 3 of those we're not going to really deal with, but I may as well mention them because I know it's really frustrating if I say there's 6 and then I only talk about 3. So let's talk about, I'll put these down the bottom. I'll call the first one, and by the way, these are in no particular order, is a thing called social proof. Social proof is how many people think you're great. Social proof is your client list. Social proof is the Thai restaurant you want to go to, and you choose the one that most people are sitting in, and you go there particularly if they look even remotely Thai. That's social proof. Social proof. Scarcity. Scarcity. That's how people sell things. Sale, big sale on at the moment. You know, it finishes in 2 weeks. Only 1 left, only 6 here available, that sort of thing. That's scarcity. But for us personally, if we are busy, our time is scarce. If we're good at what we do, then maybe somebody would like us to work on their project, and we can't begin until 3 months hence. That's scarcity. And people think that if your time is valuable, so it's not always available, you have influence. Commitment. Oh, it only just fitted. Commitment and consistency, I like this one. If people commit to something, if we can get them to commit to something, commit to an idea or a concept, as human beings we like to be consistent. So therefore, if we commit to a concept, we've got a tendency to follow through on it. Best example I can give you of this is I've got friends who do Dry July every year. And every year they put out on Facebook that they're going to do Dry July. They do that at the end of June. We're thinking of doing Dry July, we're thinking of doing Dry July. Will you know, what do you think? And everybody goes, fantastic, good on you. You can drink, I'll drink for you, not you can drink for me. I'll drink for you, you'll lose weight, da-da-da-da, goes on and on and on and on. How can you do it again? Gosh, I don't know, go on, go ahead, do it. First week of July they put out, we're doing it, we've decided to do it again, will you support us? It's a no-brainer really, because we've all already said, yeah, go for it. So of course we do. That's commitment and consistency. The 3 that I am most interested today are Authority. If we perceive, and you have to understand that all this is perception, if we perceive that someone has authority, then they are capable of influencing us. Now, what gives someone authority? A title, CEO, Managing Director, Head of, Dean of. If we perceive that they have something like that, or if we know they have something like that, we will accord them a level of influence. If we know that they're an expert in something. I mean, I'm pretty good because I passed a trial last year, and because I passed a trial last year, I must know something, so therefore that gives me a little level of influence to begin. I could prove Hannah wrong very quickly, but we'll keep working on it. Okay, authority. But what happens if you don't have any of those titles? What happens if you walk into a room and people don't know you at all? They don't know what you've done. They don't know who you are. They don't know that you passed a trial. What happens? How do we see authority? What confidence? Confidence. How do we see confidence? Sorry? Body language, yeah. What else? Sorry?
Conversation. How do you bring a conversation? How do you start speaking to someone?
How you start speaking, yeah. Yeah. What else? Knowledge. What before we say anything? What are we looking for? Presence, yes. Now all those things fit under presence. So if you don't have authority by title, or are not seen as an expert, or nobody knows. I mean, I could be CEO of something. I've got a business. I could call myself CEO. I have friends who do. I find it hilarious. CEO of what? Yourself, a virtual assistant, and someone you hire to do marketing, and your web designer. No, that's not CEO. But they do call themselves CEO and founder. It's a great, it's a good title. Great title. Okay, I love them dearly. They don't know I'm saying this, so please don't tell them. All right, so authority. All we have is our presence. All we have is our presence. The next one of this is a thing that Cialdini calls likability. I call it the ability to build rapport. Rapport is when people like us, or people think that we have something in common with them, or we understand them, or even that we're going to listen to them, or share something of ourselves. And the last one of these is a wonderful thing called reciprocity. In really big terms, like big corporation terms, reciprocity are loyalty programs. You know, you get Qantas points every time you fly Qantas, so you fly Qantas more to get more points, so maybe one day you'll get upgraded to business class for nothing. I think it takes a long time. I've been trying, but you get it at Woolies every time you buy something. Supposedly, but you know it's already in the prices, but that's all right. But reciprocity on a very personal level is generosity of spirit, generosity of self. Most people do not talk about this. And in speaking, it is one of the most crucial gifts you can have, or one of the most crucial skills you can develop. I'll mention all of these as we go today, but first I want to come back to these wonderful words you gave me. Now, I sent out a survey. It only came to you late last night, wasn't it, Hannah? Did it? Early this... Early, yes, I don't know, sometime. But anyway. But I did get a number back, and I appreciate that. I know that not everyone has time. Not everyone sees it. I'm aware of that too. But I got about half back. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And one of the questions was, in 3 words, describe how you would like people to perceive you And these were the words I got. 5 people wanted to be seen as knowledgeable, as one of their words. 4 confident, 4 genuine, 4 motivating, 4 authentic, 3 direct, 2 approachable, trustworthy, trusted. There were 2 separate people who wanted those, but they're very similar. And then 1 person wanted to be seen as flexible, honest, capable, calm, reliable, enthusiastic, having integrity, passionate, happy, a mentor, a leader, decisive, inspiring and friendly. Let's get on to the one that everybody wanted, or well, most people wanted to be seen as, knowledgeable. How do we perceive knowledge? And I'm going to put a writer on this. How do we perceive knowledge before someone opens their mouth and offers us everything they know? How do we perceive that they possibly could be knowledgeable? Age. Thank you so much. He's got to have an undergraduate degree and a master's degree, and he's probably got a couple of diplomas. So he knows that no matter what university you go to, you come up one set of stairs and you exit either down the front or the other side. There's no other choices. And he was, he really didn't know. Gormless was the word. Now, I knew he was smart because not only had he written this extraordinary PhD, and it was a science subject, he also was getting the university medal. If I saw him in the supermarket buying cheese, I wouldn't think he was very smart at all. You see, it's all perception. I could prove myself, you might think I'm quite knowledgeable, and I could prove myself completely wrong and throw people up in front of an audience and they think that what they know is all. And they'll just get a nice presentation organised and what they know is all. It doesn't work like that. It's what people are perceiving about you that makes them decide whether you are worth listening to or not. We start being really friendly and warm because our body is not grounded and our body is not in a good place. So it's over the top. And it's the same if we decide we want to add energy to some people, and it's a really good thing. You add energy or enthusiasm to a presentation, it has to be grounded. If it's not grounded, I'm going to add energy to my presentation and my energy is coming from the top part of my body, and so I've got so much energy it's overwhelming for you guys. But if I ground it, it's solid. So now I'm adding grounded energy to my presentation and it's not nearly as overwhelming and it's much stronger. Can you feel that? Yeah? Give of yourself, of your energy, of your knowledge, of your body language, of your voice and of your air. And if you give to an audience, they've got no option but to give back to you. Thank you.
My name is Melanie Bois. I'm the founder and director of 3 Chairs Consulting. I'm also an artist and a painter. I make my own chains. I scuba dive and I hike. And my career has been very windy, from teaching art to training firefighters, working in an art gallery, and at executive level in transformation at an ASX 20 listed company. So quite a windy little career. I think I just jumped at different opportunities as they've come up, but 3 Chairs is actually a new endeavor for me. Many people asked me, a couple of people did ask me this last night, so sorry, because you're going to hear this the second time. Why 3 Chairs? Where does the name come from? And so I'll tell you a little bit about that. It's actually based on my very favorite artwork by an artist named Joseph Kassouf. And the artwork is a chair, like, you know, kind of like this one. It's a physical chair, not a painting or a photograph. It's a physical chair. And then beside the physical chair, there's a photograph of that exact same chair. And on the other side of it is a definition of a chair. So words describing the chair is. Now if I asked you the question, and I will, and I know it's early, but there's no wrong answer. If I asked you the question, which one do you think is the most real chair? Most real. Physical chair, photograph of that same chair, or the definition of the chair? By show of hands, who would pick the physical chair? Oh, I like to think it's about 70%. You know, just quick math, people maybe a little more in this room. engineers. I think that's more common amongst engineers. So why? So someone want to tell me why they picked the chair? You're majority. Anyone want to tell me why they picked the physical chair? There's no wrong answer.
Because you can feel it and touch it and see it.
Yeah, okay, so I can experience it with my senses. Any different reasons?
Looks like chair, probably is chair.
Yep, looks like chair. Good. And you can sit on it. I think that's what I noticed before. The utilitarian sort of, does what it's supposed to do. Yeah. Only one person ever has picked the photograph, and I was just absolutely fascinated by the response, which was, chairs, they change, changes, deteriorates, our ideas of chair designs around chairs change. Even our definitions, the way that we think about the idea of a thing can change over time. But a photograph, as far as it represents a point in time, is the truest representation. It's an unusual response. No wrong answer. I love this artwork because it begs the question, how do we know what we know? And when you're in the business of doing change and transformation, which is what I do, it's important to always be stepping back and asking, how do I know what I know? How do I know what I know about my business, about my customers, about what biases I might be bringing into work that stop me from being innovative and thinking differently? So that's where the name 3 Chairs Consulting comes from. How was your experience?
Mine was great. I was a bit relieved because all I got was below me.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. So for someone, so it was Gonzalo, is it? Who quickly kind of went, actually, there's a different way of me interpreting the instructions and guiding rather than providing the step-by-step instructions. So, yeah, well done. But I was like, tell me more. Yeah, well done. And in terms of the followers, how did you find that experience? What are some of the challenges then? So we kind of roughly, we've got lots of great ideas about what good leadership looks like. What are some of the challenges that you've seen or faced, whether it's looking at other leaders or yourself in your leadership roles? It's a really interesting one, and more people are talking about diversity and the importance of diversity, not just in terms of tenure or demographics or gender, age, diversity of thinking styles, personality. I worked with a lot of technical specialists, actuaries, underwriters, and they knew all sorts of unbelievable technical things. When they then had to make the shift into leadership roles, it was always such a challenge, in part because they know their stuff and they know the detail and they want to get in it. Some of them, they just love the work, love the work, love doing it, and maybe love doing, I don't understand engineering science much, but love doing the work. And so it's hard to actually let go of that. Maybe that's the space you want to play in, which is an interesting question as well. Is people leadership what you want to be doing, or technical leadership? Standouts are anything that's above that middle line. This tool benchmarks against thousands of leaders. So anything above 50% is kind of like, it's either great on the top half, or on the bottom half is like definitely something to look for. And okay, I had some coaching, and someone helped me understand a few things about why I say perfectionism is not a good thing. So I didn't know, I genuinely didn't know. We all set out to do the very best we can, don't we? Every one of us, we do. The thing that was really striking for me, there were probably 2 things in particular, I think. There was written feedback that accompanied this, and someone said, you're inspiring, Melanie, love working with you, I feel like I can never keep up. And you're setting the bar really high, and I want to do a good job, but I just feel like I can't. And someone else told me that they checked their emails 3 times before sending them to me. So, really, really fantastic in terms of the distance. And Red and Blue had the potential of doing brilliantly well as well. The collaboration was fantastic, joint venture. And one of the things I'd like to make as a point, I think, about that particular activity is the first round we got 6.1 meters. The second round we got 30 plus, 27 plus. That's an exceptionally better improvement overall.
And no one got lower than the first match, so they were 6 minutes.
Everyone's improved on the first round. And so what happened, what was different? One thing that was different is we had a bigger goal. We just had a higher target. We had a little experience as well. We had some lessons learned. So we tried, we failed, we set higher, more ambitious goals. and then we achieved them. In terms of teams that are experiencing things like listening and not being heard, did that improve in the second round?
No.
No.
Noel still made a decision at the last second that ruined us.
What was that?
Would not start.
In the same spot in both times, didn't it? So what about continuous improvement?
To evolve and learn from every single thing you do. And that, relationship, it's actually great you're able to, Nigel's open to feedback, it seems, and you're able to voice your feedback back, which is really brilliant. And this is the other thing, is that sort of relationship of a leader to a group. Being able to provide feedback both ways, it's extremely powerful. And that takes the leader being willing to be heard, like listening to feedback and, not get super defensive. And it takes a bit of courage as well when you're talking to your own leader. It's like something you did there that didn't quite work for me. I just want to say, I was so excited to see what you guys were going to do. Project managers and engineers. I did something at home. I wanted to have a little practice. I have concrete floors. And no way I was going to get anything near as far. I did some stuff with popsicle sticks. Made no sense. So it was really great to see, but in particular, there was some really fantastic clarification questions from the leaders as we moved on, as far as listening improving over the second round. The idea of collaborating and doing a joint venture, really innovating and thinking differently. What are the rules? What are the constraints? Can we challenge those constraints? So it really elicited some different kinds of thinking as you set the higher target and goal. And so well done, everyone, for working together through that session and really thinking differently, really stretching the way you thought through that process.
Realise that all you've done is the same thing you did in that first year. So when you say you've got 10 years experience, have 10 years experience, don't have 1 year of experience repeated for 10 years. So always keep learning, always keep moving up and beyond, and take risks. So when I was offered international posts, even though my heart was saying stay for various reasons, my head was saying, no, this is a great opportunity to have some fun and do something different. So I went. I've worked in Malaysia on the airport there, the second airport, now quite old. I worked in Laos and Vietnam, and I ended up also working in Milan, in Italy. I've worked in oil and gas, I've worked in telco. I built some buildings in Vietnam, and I really came into roads in about 2005 with the Albury Bypass with Abbey Group at the time. And the second bit of advice when I was back then 22, 23 was, if you haven't already, buy property. Which I took. And yeah, he was buy property at 23, get a credit rating and keep selling and buying. So that was really what's, as far as career goes, that's what's influenced me. And at the moment I'm, as if you know, I'm the head of commercial for all of RMS, so I sit under Jeff McCarthy in TPS, but I actually also am the commercial head for motorways and regional compliance and the whole of RMS. So we're a very busy team, and I'm actually on a lot of management groups and project boards, like the Woodville Development at the moment, on the Roselle Interchange, and a few of those big projects, but then also responsible for everyday contract admin, like approving variations and everything else. So it's a very busy time for me. But we have real world examples of why we need to change, and what have the empathy on the other side about what it's really like to make money on the other side and deliver a project. So yeah.
I didn't buy a property. In fact, I bought a sailing boat at 25, which is what I put all of my savings into, and that's an accelerating addiction. So if none of you are into sailing, don't try it. If you are into sailing, keep going, because it's really fun. So I didn't buy a house until a couple of years ago, and made none of those wise choices, which is why my advice and reflection, and it's sort of what I would suggest to you all, is go for things that you're passionate in or passionate about, because ultimately what you've all got to sell in your career is your reputation, your experience, your network, and so on. And when you listen to what Shailendra has done across her career, and you can hear the passion in it, and she's built things that people can see. I've been very lucky. I haven't quite yet started as a partner at KPMG. That happens in June. but I just finished as the CEO of IPA, which I worked at for 12 years, and it was a great opportunity for me. It was something that I was very lucky to get. They had an initial CEO who fell over pretty quickly, and there was only one employee left at the time, so there was a vigorous internal competition for the role.
I started my career at 18 working for the Department of Defence in 1971, and some of you weren't alive then, so...
Me?
Yeah.
I was, unfortunately. I'd love to say it wasn't.
But I guess my career's been pretty diverse. I started as in a company, 18 years, but it was very, very varied. Commissioning generators, commissioning substations, managing them. I was the marketing manager. I got involved in the commercialisation and corporatisation. So if you're working in a big organisation, take the opportunity. So my mantra, even though I didn't realise it at the time, was I wasn't afraid of saying yes and then saying, what the hell have I got myself into? I walked into 100 mils into the rainy year. I went for 3 months, and 6 years later I came back. But I came back and headed up the department that I'd left as a junior. So,
Norm, I'd be interested in your thoughts as to what are some of the opportunities that to help influence from either side, government and private.
there are elements of it, but don't think that's the reality. Who's watched Utopia? How real do you think that is?
Very, very, very.
In fact, it's
There
worse
are
than
very close, there are a lot we wouldn't get through. But recognise that they will have a position, and if you can take something, and that's if you're head of an agency or a head of a government department or you're a minister or an advisor.
I agree with Norm there. It is understanding what the current drivers are and under single issue and every single project, even though they know and they've approved, that they don't know the detail. And you're right, a lot of it is because the timing decisions are coming from the top and no one is asking whether things can be done in that time. And I think what happens is everyone is so busy, you just rely on lots of people to do lots of things, and they just get piled on more and more requests. So some of the things we do is I think you need to be able to have those difficult conversations or honest conversations, actually. You know, certainly with my team, and I have a small team, I only have a core of about 30 people around the state.